Today we're reviewing Compliance, directed by Craig Zobel and written by him as well. It's starring Ann Dowd and Dreama Walker, and it's apparently based on a true story, which I found very surprising. But
well, more like a string of true events, not one particular story.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely true. And okay, so why don't you just give a little plot summary, Rob?
All right. So the movie is about a prank caller who takes a prank call way too fucking far. He identifies himself as Officer Daniels to the people at this Chick Witch, which is kind of like the fictional version of Chick-fil-A.
I think it happened at a McDonald's though. This particular incident.
Yeah, that's quite possible.
Yeah.
But I think that's what they were going for.
Mm-hmm.
So he calls and tells the manager of this Chick Witch that one of the employees has been seen stealing by one of his surveillance teams. So he has the manager bring this employee named Becky to the back room where she proceeds to do things like strip search the employee. She even gets her fiancé in the room to do some of the searching, and it ends up going just way too far. And
way too far.
Some crazy shit.
Yeah.
I think one thing to note is that while you're watching it, you start to think that everyone in the movie is a fucking idiot.
Dude, like in the first fourth of the movie, I was like, okay, I guess I kind of buy this. And then as it progressed, it was like, I was just like, wait, no, like, I can't buy this. These people are, like, total idiots. They're totally, you have to, like, totally neglect, like, the constitutional amendment, like, everything about the history of America.
Yeah.
To really just think that that's possible.
Common sense.
Yeah.
Right. Well, personally, like, I work in, like, a shitty food place, and, like, I can honestly say that in my shitty food place where I work, the meaningless drones that work there would at least, like, act a little bit more, I don't know, aware of the situation as it was happening. Like, they might even, like, ask if it was really a cop or something. And, it just seems...
Yeah.
And maybe we're spoiled coming from, like, California, not to sound like some, like, douche and saying that, like, California is better than everywhere. Like, in comparison to maybe a Chick-fil-A in the Midwest and some very small town,
yeah.
Perhaps the people we live with are of a little bit higher frame of consciousness so that they might, understand this stuff's going on better. And I get the example of maybe the guy purposely preyed on, like, smaller towns with stupider people.
Yeah, like on rural areas.
Yeah.
No. It's that's actually totally true, though.
I agree. No, I agree that he probably did.
No. Yeah, I read the... Anyway, we're getting off topic. This isn't really about the movie, but...
But that's what the movie makes you want to do. It makes you want to think about, like, how can this happen to real people?
Exactly, because at the end, when it says it's based on a true story, I don't know if that's really a spoiler because I'm assuming most people go in kind of knowing, but...
Having an idea.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things about the movie that, like, I guess it says based on a true story, and maybe I forgot about that when I was watching the movie, but, like, it really didn't seem realistic, and so then when you kind of, like, put it all together, I don't know, it was very shocking.
I have mixed feelings about this movie, especially because of the fact that at the end, how they said that it was, like, based on true events was, like, it was surprising. It was kind of a twist in its own,
Yeah, I kind of do that if you didn't realize.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just like this movie's hard to put a finger on. The acting was good, and I think that's why it was so because it definitely left an impression on me, And
definitely. It's like once I finished the movie, I felt kind of stressed out. Like I wanted to like punch a bunch of people in the face, perhaps for being so stupid.
Yeah.
But also because I felt so bad for like.
Yeah, and frustrated.
It was weird because after the movie, I went to work at a kitchen and, like, was walking around and just thinking about that and thinking about, like, what if the stupid girl who takes orders at my kitchen like this happened to her. Like how would I react in this situation? And it just brings me back to the thing where it makes it hard to imagine it's realistic because of the severe ignorance.
Well, because I mean we've already gotten to the point that it's in a completely different world. You know, like it's just those people, I guess, don't know that because they're more secluded or less educated about that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just a fact. Like, sure, that exists, like in other places, but it's just the movie is like unforgivable in a way because you go into it not thinking it's gonna be like this, like because it's really intense and like dramatic and fucked up, and the fact that it's real is like beyond me.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
The weirdest. Now, with all that being said, to get to the actual opinions of the movie itself, it's hard to kind of gather an actual opinion based on it because it kind of almost plays out not so much like a movie with a script or like actors or like you don't like get this connection to any of the actors. It's almost in a way, to me, it reminded me a lot of the now this is kind of a far out thing, but the Human Centipede, for instance. Moreover, the Human Centipede 2, which is really kind of an obscure reference to make. Like, for instance, like if you ever look at the movie The Human Centipede, you have this disattachment from the characters. Unlike with any other form movie you see. Like, for instance, if you're watching your normal thriller, for instance, you kind of get this connection to the characters. But in this movie, they don't show the characters outside of this one thing. And so you don't see the characters as this like external like beings that you're connected with that have their own emotional lives and patterns. You're just almost observing this. It's almost like reading a Wikipedia article but acted out. Like it doesn't. You don't get a connection to these characters. So while it's happening, what I got from it was much more of a shock value movie than it was an actual movie with character build-up or anything like that. And that was kind of what I got as the point of the movie. And so when I view it through that lens, it's kind of
because it was just like beginning, middle, end, and it was all 100% like basically happening in real time.
Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of time passed, but you just observe them in this setting. This is like it was like this is the premise, and this is what it sticks with the entire film, and it just stays there.
It doesn't like go into individual characters' conversations. It's all played out like it's almost like a clue game, like or something. It's like people are talking to each other, but there's no like individual like look into the character's eyes, see how like stressed out they are. It's just all dialogue or all interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like Saw in that sense.
Exactly. That's another great comparison. Saw. That is another thing I was going to say. Is it reminded me a lot of Saw.
Because you're just like waiting for like shit to get worse, and you're just like
exactly, and you know it's going to get worse.
Terrible situation where everything like goes to shit, and you know that you kind of know what's coming, and you're just waiting to see it.
The way the whole movie goes through, it's just really intense. Like you know things are going to get worse every time you're there, and you're just waiting for it to get worse. You're not like, oh, how's this going to get resolved? You already know how it's going to get resolved from the beginning of the movie, so you're just watching this. It's almost just sheerly like a movie to bring about like this kind of shock and awe and disgust, really, of like an event. It's not. Yeah,
because in a way, it's like a psychological version of Saw in the sense that it's very extreme.
Yeah.
Like Saw is very gory. It's on that extreme spectrum, and this one is on the same spectrum, but just like it's like.
Meanwhile, you're sitting there just like cringing at each moment that's happening because it's just like it's what's gonna happen. You see the characters like get closer and closer into this like eventual like I don't know retarded act they do, and it's just I kind of think that like if you look at it through the perspective of watching a movie like Saw or The Human Centipede, then you can kind of get a better idea of what the movie's about. I think that going into the movie, I expected it to be like a normal flick, like where like there was a character build up and maybe some connection to the characters, and I wasn't really expecting it to be such like a kind of like shock value movie, specifically because
it's not shock value. It is.
Well, it's not alright, not shock value, but like not so much of like a thriller is more of like a backwards observation movie. You know what I mean? Like you're not really in it. You're like observing it completely. You're not dragged into the thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have to give it kind of props over the Saw movies because the Saw movies is just like, shock gore. And in this case, it's got like kind of emotional, like psychological shock.
Dude, I'm by no means actually literally comparing this movie to Saw as a film, you know? I'm just saying.
Yeah, of course.
Just aspects of the way it's put together are similar to Saw.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah, but I have to say, it's better because it has, kind of a more mature subject matter than, like, just Saw, where it's just people's, like, heads exploding and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. I was just curious. Did the movie seem like it took a long time? Like it was long?
Like it was long, yeah. I mean, because
when I was watching the movie, lots of things were taking a long time. So I don't know. It was we watched it in 2 parts, so it already seemed like it took a longer time than it probably did.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really like kind of high stress. So I thought it did seem like it was a long movie because of that.
Oh, okay, yeah. But what you said about the shock value, like I was gonna say, like there is that one scene of shock value that I know, you and I saw, and we were both like, "Whoa, what the fuck is that?"
Yeah, where she like,
yeah, what does she do? You know what I'm talking about, Rob? Where you were like, at first, she was like, I don't want to spoil it, but like, do you know that scene where
where she's? Well, I mean, we've already brought it up.
Yeah.
Where she's on her knees.
Yeah, she's like down on the ground, and you're like not sure, like
what she's doing
at first, yeah, and then you're like, holy fuck, did they really get him?